how it was just beautiful in India, villages and cows and slow but I was wondering, why is he honking the horn so much? And then I got to know India, the horn was more important than the motor. So now I'm telling this story. Later on, now 3-4 years I'm in India, so now I'm used to everything. And we're riding down the road, and with Prabhupada, Akhoyananda's, myself, Samashunda, and Prabhupada in the front seat. So, of course, the horn was honking, because when the horn honked, the cows would go like this, off the road. When the horn honked, the people drying dolls would make way. And all the walla wallas would go off the road. This walla, that walla, wee. The horn stopped, it broke. Because there was only Fiats and Ambassador cars back then. 2 types. Prabhupada had a car with a siren. And sometimes the devotee would do it and the truck would fall off the embankment. Anyway, that's another story. So the horn didn't work. So we saw that the cows were still there, everybody was there. So Prabhupada said, give me my tali and give me my cane. And then he leaned out the window and went bang bang, bang bang, bang bang bang, bang 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 bang. The cows went, the dal, the walla wallas. So then he handed it to Akhoyananda, who kept on doing it, bum bum, bum bum. And then we went on, and Prabhupada says, see, they will think it's an American invention and try to imitate. He was very clever with wisdom. Did I tell the bird dropping story? Yes. So, after he said these birds have lived in the apartment, then he said even birds are attached to their apartments. So such a witty, fun, wise, and kind. If he wasn't kind, we know. Just like it said in King Prithu, in the Srimad Bhagavatam class, was kind to the people, and they reciprocated. Well, that's the same thing that happened with Prabhupada. Because again, like I said the other day, why would I want to follow a 71-year-old man who's telling me to not have any fun anymore? But it became fun. We got to use our wits with the President Nassar. We're singing the praises of Nassar, and we used our wits. And we had purpose. We had purpose with the idea, again, Shastra, Sadhana, and Seva. We had Seva. And they say, Gurudas, how did you do all these things? And I just said I wanted to see the Swami smile. And sometimes he told us to do hard things, chasing the rhino, as Samashunda says. When we were in Delhi, Prabhupada said, I want you to go see the American ambassador and ask the American ambassador to give us a free house because you're Americans. And there's also a plan B. But you see, I met the American ambassador and brought Prabhupada to him, and I'll tell you that story after this because I don't want to forget to tell the story, so I'll jump around. But there's chronology in here too. So the American ambassador, and it was Sunday. Don't go to the office, go to the house and ask him. And I go there in Delhi, and I knock on the door, and a woman comes, and she's scowling at me like I'm some sort of vendor. And she's, no, and she slams the door. So I sit in the driveway where the cars come, and the ambassador comes. And he says, who are you and why are you sitting in the driveway? I said, my guru, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, has asked me to ask you something. I'm from wherever I said, in New York, San Francisco, whatever. But your wife kicked me out. And he went, oh yeah, well, she's like that. And he took me to his backyard, and he had his bhajan kutir, or actually it was a man cave. So you know what that means. You know what that means. You know, you need a man cave or a bhajan kutir because we're making decisions all the time, and then we have to have time to reflect and quiet time. Creative time and receptive. So the bhajan kutir and chanting and things like that balance out the day's decisions. So he takes me to his man cave. And I said, my Guru Maharaj asked me that you should give us an apartment or a house because we're Americans. Well, I saw him like, I'm not a realtor. So I can't do that. I said, well, my guru's plan B is that perhaps you can put us in contact with some people and we can pay in any currency of the world. You want Japanese yen, you want Turkish drachma, you want Mexican pesos. Prabhupada liked the black market. He did. This story, I don't know, Prabhupada liked the black market. That's because he's making Lakshmi for Krishna. In Samarashinda's book, there was that kind of thing. I found out about some gold prices, and he went, and so actually money too, Prabhupada said money is the honey. It's a tool for Krishna. Prabhupada put all the money into books. He didn't take anything for himself. So now we're going to this big house on Marin Drive. I don't know if any of you, how many people know what Marin Drive in Bombay are? Okay, it's right by the ocean, and it was large enough to accommodate all 17 of us. The prasadam was wonderful. But us being stalwart devotees, went out on Harinam the first day we arrived in India. And we went to a place called Kalpa Devi in Mumbai. And we were chanting, and Kailash Saksirya sent 2 servants in costume, it's called livery, with silver pitchers of Nimbupani standing there. Well, I thought, they think that this is the American style of Harinam, that we have servants and standing with Nimbupani. So this is the American. Little did they know that we were very austere and dedicated in the beginning. Not that many people could do what we did in the early days. People not understanding, attacking, all the things. So I sent them back, and then we were doing kirtan, and people loved it because there's this devotee, Dinanath, who was really expert. So then, and this is something I encourage in the United States now, is that when you go on Harinam, you explain to the people, this is mantra, mind deliverance. We're singing one of the names of God. You explain. Simple. Because people are curious, but they don't know. There's those people in white and yellow and orange jumping up and down, but a little learning is a dangerous thing. Drink deep or not, taste not of the eternal spring. That's in English, Alexander Pope. A little learning is a dangerous thing. Drink deep or you won't taste of the eternal spring. So if people want to know more about Krishna consciousness, that's why you go and you tell them. And so on Harinam, so we had a rousing Harinam, and then I spoke. And I'm doing, oh, your culture's wonderful, but you've lost your tradition. And then I gave them Krishna Consciousness 101, and I thought I was really speaking good, Gurudas, and speaking Gurudas, you're doing all right for Krishna. And then I said, are there any questions? And the man said, how much does that watch cost, sir? Welcome to India. How much does a watch cost, sir? And then Prabhupada came from Calcutta. We were with him again after the Vipralamba. I hadn't seen him since England. And when we were in the room, there were people in the windows looking, and Prabhupada made sure they had prasadam too, like little kids, like bandars on the window. In Vrindavan, a little baby monkey fell into the room in Radha Damodar, whereas, first of all, I thought, when I went to India, why is all the bars? Are people in jail? Mm-hmm. But then I realized why. I had an interaction with the king of the monkeys after some of the devotees provoked the monkeys, throwing rocks at them. And the king of the monkeys, I was looking at the sun, and he came up and he pushed me. And he had teeth, and he could have really bitten me. And he was saying, I'm the king of these monkeys, you control your monkeys. It's true. So this little baby monkey fell into the bars, and the mother was there, and she was screaming like any mother losing a child. And I took the little baby monkey and gave it back, and she went like that, and I told Prabhupada about it that night, and he said, now you shall have to feed her. She will come. Sure enough, the next day, she knew I was a softie, and but you know, this is again the beauty of India. There's geckos in the room and sparrows. I wrote some poems in this other book. Tibetan Mask of Life, and it's living, you know, the sparrows spinning on the chakra of a ceiling fan. So then Prabhupada came, and we had press conferences, and it was so nice to be with him again. And because we had a special relationship, when everybody left at night, it was just him and I on a table like this with our elbows. No, the table was there, and Prabhupada said, the table can come here, as if the table was like a little child. And I brought it, and our elbows were like that. And we were talking over strategy of how to bring Krishna consciousness to India. So then one of the things he wanted, just like in England, we registered the society. It took a year. He wanted me to register the society. So now, we all decided, Prabhupada, after Bombay was successful and we were registered, Prabhupada said, okay, we've been invited to a conference in Amritsar. Well, see, this is why I stayed a devotee. Here's an adventure, going with your guru in a train department to another place, and we went to the Golden Temple together before there was partition again. And he loved the walk of the Gurdwara because it fed people. It was just great to travel with him. We went to Lakshmi Narayan Temple. He addressed an assembly of lawyers, and he pronounced it liars. And so here we were, and for some reason, they asked me, and Prabhupada asked me to speak, and I don't know why exactly, because there were so many qualified devotees, but there's pictures of me with him on the television, so he did pick me. I guess I have a good way of speaking or whatever. But what an honor. But it was in a place of Mayavadis. Vinod Bhave was there at that conference, Vinod Bhave. And so I'm speaking about the variegatedness, the variety of personalism, Radha and Krishna. And I was saying we make choices, just like we choose a husband, wife, we choose a guru. We choose to eat prasadam rather than stool in the street. Well, this guy was just waiting for me to do something like that. What they say, they gave me the hook in America. They hooked me off the stage. He took me off the stage. Gurudas had to go take over. He takes me to Prabhupada. Your disciple says stool in the street. Prabhupada, there's more to it. And I explained that you accept your guru and there's variety and you eat prasadam rather than... So Prabhupada said, my American disciples use graphic examples. So the man leaves, and then Prabhupada says, can I use that? Sure, Prabhupada. So then, I made sure everybody had a place to sleep in our camp. It was winter time. And there was no room left for myself and Giriraj. And he was my buddy. So we went and had to sleep in the midst of the Mayavadis. And as I'm starting to rest, this one person comes over and says, we're all one. You're God, I'm God. Well, I said, no, we have a relationship with God. And he said, well, no, see, we're one. The spark and the fire are the same. And I said, well, you can't cook a meal with a spark. Because we understand in Vaishnavism, we have the qualities of Krishna, but not the quantity. So the spark is the quality, but not the quantity of Krishna. So then he says, no, you don't understand. The thread, he had a blanket, the thread and the blanket are the same. Chaitra Guru comes into me again, and I took his blanket and gave him the thread. And it was winter time. 10 minutes later, give me my blanket back. I said, you said it's the same, you got the thread. So your philosophy is impractical, and if you want your blanket, you got to bow down before my Guru Maharaj tomorrow. So that was an experience to be together and with Prabhupada, and they're doing their Aham Brahmasmi, and Prabhupada's hearing it and the loudspeakers. And he said, well, they're arguing over this point, but we'll reach Krishna by eating. They'll have all these arguments. You know the story of the 3 scholars? That's a beautiful, I'm writing a short story book. This is one of them, one of the stories. There were 3 scholars, and a bird went on top of the branch, and then the fruit dropped. So the first scholar said, did you see that? The bird went on the branch, and then the fruit dropped. And the second scholar said, no, the fruit dropped, and then caused the bird to fly. And the first one said, no, the bird caused the fruit. The other guy said, no, the fruit caused the bird. The third scholar picked up the fruit and ate it. So now, we were on the way back to Bombay, and I had the privilege of being in the first class compartment, and the other devotees were in the second. We had 3 classes back then in the trains in India, first, second, third. And so Jamuna and the other devotees were in the second class, and Jamuna took over the kitchen. They didn't want to let her, but she threatened to jump off the train. So someone should maybe translate for this person, because she doesn't maybe understand English. But maybe later. She's being so patient. All glories to the assembled devotees. She's all right? Okay. Well, I had to do it, and I'm going to show you an example of it right now. So we're in the station, and also Prabhupada, while we were in the train, he said, when you call me Prabhu and I think I'm master, that's not the meaning. We have to be Prabhu to each other. And he's showing me different things in the train, passing Kurukshetra and this and that. And so now we're in the station in Delhi, on the way to Bombay. And so I'm in the station and Prabhupada's there, and then a dude, pani, samosa, chai, pani, okay. There's the station, I was waiting. A man comes in and starts talking Hindi, and I'm like, oh, I didn't understand, I'm just sitting there. And then Prabhupada says, this man says we can start a center in Delhi. So get down and see what you can do. So first he kicked me out of the nest in San Francisco, then he kicked me out of the nest in London, and now he's kicking me out of the nest on the train. And he said, who will you take with you? So Gurudas, Jamuna, Gopal, and Banu. And so we were a great team. And then he gave us the formula of life membership. All the life members would get a full set of books and a chance to stay in any temple of the world. And this was a great asset, because some of the businessmen in India traveled and they can stay in the temples. It's a great scheme. And he gave me 2 names. Mr. Dalmia, Cement Dalmia, really nice man. He became a life member immediately. Myself and Giriraj went. And then there was a Dr. Lokesh Chandra, member of parliament, who became my friends to this day. He had an institute. He helped get Indira Gandhi elected by suggesting she go on a tour in a helicopter. And when the helicopter descended in villages, it was like she's a demigod descending on an airplane of roses. And I got to meet her twice, and I got to meet all these officials. I guess I'll tell about that later. So Delhi was starting, but then Prabhupada said, I want you to go to Vrindavan. Yes, I've been waiting since 1969. And I want you to go and see a palace. Somebody told me there's a palace that we could have for a temple. Now in England, we had a relationship with a devotee from a Brijbasi woman who had her own following, and we had great kirtans together. Her name was Shama Devi, and she'd swoon when I leave. Her deities were in customs. I got them out of customs for her. They thought they were antiques. No, so we were very close, and so that's where I was going to stay in Vrindavan with her. So I was on the way there, and when I hit Kosi Kalan, I can feel the magic of Vrindavan. Actually, I'm going to read the magic of Vrindavan. But I could feel it. And when over the years, there's no time limit, right?
There is no time limit.
Good. I could feel the magic of Vrindavan. So this is called Magic Town. O country village, Tulsi forest named Vrindavan. Even the rocks are alive for the pleasure of Govinda. The trees are swaying here, twisted in a dance with the Lord. Birds fly in and out of the window of my adobe hut. In Vrindavan, animals and humans interact. Geckos on walls, sparrows in the houses, monkeys swinging on electrical wires, bats flying, owls eating, peacocks calling, buffaloes soaking, donkeys braying, cows mooing, camels snorting, elephants trumpeting, horses neighing as fathers watch their children play, riding on a water buffalo's back in the Jamuna River. A clay pot made of earth is used and broken, merging back into the earth. A pair of shoes or a winter hat or tailored from start to finish. Children learning numbers spiritually. 1 God, 2 to love, 3 deities, Brahma, Shiva, and Vishnu, 4 Kumaris, 5 Rishis, 6 Goswamis, 7 temples, 8 gopis, 9 gates of the body, 10 directions. Auspicious guides talk to me within, everything in order, exemplified by all the new baby animals that come out seasonally when it's their time. Positive portents, portents means omens. Positive portents, flags waving, full water buckets, elephants spewing water, saints singing. Ill omens show too, empty water pots, flags drooping, owls screeching, barking dogs, clouds raining blood, the left side of a face twitching, people cheating. We are minor players, darkness to light, eternal prayers all day and night. We see the stars and dance in the full moonlight. Goswamis and ancient sadhus walk these sands and form the backbone of our path. Pilgrims pray while babies laugh. Let my love in compassion's ray, uncompromising as nature's play, come inside me and stay. That's what I was talking about in the class this morning. Natural Krishna conscious. Do what talents Krishna gives you. And as nature's play, come inside me and stay. Elusive blue boy whom I don't know, I can feel your shelter in this protective place. Why then do I run away from your home? What compels me in crowded cities, seduced by secondary illusions, accepted as primary importance, life's cosmetic shadows mixed with soot, neon rays swallowed by cracks in yellowing walls. O green hills, I hear your call. I remember forest groves where divinity romps and magic pastimes abound. I snuggle in your milky bosoms. Softly I drink your essence, security in every drop of holy water. Cows freely give religiously, flowing from Sorabhi's milk drops. Chintamani, your touchstone nectar makes the lame walk and the blind to see. Your silk-like hair is swaying kusha grass, the very straw mats that sages pray on. Lying down on golden sand as nearby Jamuna's river shores, black and white striped birds dive into your watery mouth. Kalindi or Jamuna you flow to reunite with Mother Ganges, getting together in Prayag's Kumbh Mela place. Above, demigods are pulled by snowy swans and scented water fountains spray in celestial gardens, whilst they shower us with rose petals from above. We taste the tears of joy from the great Rasa dance as Krishna dances with the gopis, with each cowgirl individually under the full moon light. Chakora birds eat moonbeams. During all-night chanting kirtans, I shared my heart with ex-kings and singing saints. Encircling you, my holy Vrindavan, on Parikrama path, on fresh morning's dew, my bare feet touching your white sands, makes me weep. Your sweetened countenance is reflected in your pearly shores, or Madhavan's forest glen playing hide and seek. You offer Annapurna's peaks like a babe. I wonder and drink from mountainous breasts. In mystic forests, desire trees abound. Kadamba and Champa hold the golden clothes of the gopis as they bathe in the Jamuna River. Lazily we play and love in your boughs, dream in your branches, and wade on your banks. Soma elixir divine appears, fruits jump into my mouth, everyone is cared for. The sticks, like pilgrims pray, lying prone, praying for the touch of Govinda, of your red lotus feet on their reverent forms, so you can embrace and know us all. Even the small grasses jump into place, humbly awaiting your foot's embrace, heaven's grace from your pores, the struggle gone in your sheltering doors, ecstasy abounds, enchanting dance, O country village, a magic romance. Sometimes poetry is hard to follow, and there was a lot. So now I was in Vrindavan, and there's this palace, Lakshmi Rani Kunj. And so I went to it, but I couldn't get in. Very high doors. But I went across the street. Chaitra Guru told me, go across the street. There was a school, and the king who ran the school, and the principal of the school was there, and I said, I'm trying to get into Lakshmi Rani Kunj. And he was a very nice man. He said, I can do this. So come back the next day. So then I went and stayed with Shama Devi in Raman Reti. So the first night in Vrindavan, it was full moonlight. And kirtan was wafting across the hills. All night you can hear it. And then I heard a bullock cart on the road. And I looked out the window, and the man was looking up at the stars. The bullock knew where to go, and he was chanting. And everybody was saying, Jai Radhe, Jai Radhe. And then the next morning, one of her brahmacharis took me on the parikrama. And this is back in the 70s. It wasn't cemented and not built up like today. And I was walking with Krishna walked, and I just fainted, I swooned, and then I came back, and I went to see the principal of the school, and he had a key. He knocked on the door, and the man opened up and allowed me entrance into Lakshmi Rani Kunj. And there was a palace. And across the courtyard, the windows were made with one piece of sandstone in a jari design. One piece, and you open them, and there's the Jamuna River. And to the left was a garden that the king walked in. And to the right was the darshan mandap, the altar. And then there are 3 or 4 stories, but it was all encrusted with bat guano, and the bats lived there, and it needed a lot of work. The altar needed a lot of work. But still, we were going to try for it. And then I was told that the person, the king who owns this palace, was called the Maharaja Bharatpur. So now the next step was how to get to see the Maharaja Bharatpur. So the principal of the school arranged it. But you see, I couldn't do this in America. When we had the Delhi Pandal, there were 7 different categories. I'm going to get back to the Maharaja Bharatpur. But there were 7 different categories. The mayor, the poet laureate, the ambassador from Canada, James George. Well, I went to see the defense minister, Jagjivan. He was in the so-called untouchable. And I went with Tamal Krishna, and there was a soldier protecting his property. This is at 6:30 in the morning. And so there's a soldier with a bayonet, but there's 2 of us, so our plan was, when the soldier approaches, we would go like that. So he chased Tamal, and there I was with the defense minister, who was kind of a husky, grizzly man, and I was sitting on his porch and he's in his pajamas. And I said, please come to our gathering in Connaught Circus in 3 weeks. And he said, well, we're secular government, and so if we go to your function, we have to go to all the religious functions. And as I said in Northern Ireland, our island, we're not a religion only, we're a way of life. And then I saw a picture of his mother on the wall, a big painting, and she had her hand in the japa bag. She was chanting japa in the painting. So I said, if you don't come to our gathering, I'm going to tell your mother on you. Oh, I'll come. Both ministers later on didn't come, but anyway. So the Maharaja Port, we get there at a wedding. And I were admitted, and then I asked, who's the Maharaja Bharatpur? And there's this guy with a turban sitting behind the bride and groom. And the person sitting behind the bride and groom saying, this marriage will never work. It's the ugliest bride in the world. I'm thinking, did I hear that right? And he went on, and he was the Maharaja Barpur. He was totally pugly. Do you know what pugly means? He died shooting at a government helicopter. Get off my land. He was really pugly, and we had to deal with him. So at any rate, after the marriage, we introduced ourselves, and he invited us to his place, and we had a really nice meal. He had pearl japa beads, pearls, not Tulsi, and when he chanted, he didn't want anybody to talk to. So we're circumambulating Govardhan Hill. He had a whole entourage. He had an army of 4, 2 queens, one with white paste on her face like a Japanese no player, incense up to the ceiling that are this thick, and I'm walking with him, and he's not there, he's back there, and I go back, he says, kings don't walk like men, they walk like elephants. It took us 3.5 days to get around Govardhan Hill. Usually takes 6, 7 hours. And then we're at a temple on a hill, and the priest wanted some donation from the king for Govardhan Puja coming up, and the king was chanting with his pearl beads, and he had a treasury, a money man with him. So the man interrupted his chanting, and the king got angry, and the king said to his money man, 1. And the money man gave 100 rupees to the pujari. And the king got really angry. He wanted to only give 1 as an insult. And the he had his army dragged that pujari away. I don't even know what happened to him. But this is what hanging out with crazy kings are like. So, but he liked us. But the first thing he said, do you know the head of the Peace Corps? He ran away with my wife. So I was thinking, well, this guy's going to say anything. But actually we became kind of friends, he and Jamuna and I. But, so we were negotiating for this palace that needed a lot of renovation work. But we didn't have fax, we didn't have telegram, we didn't have iPhones, we didn't have anything. And so I had to write reports with the regular mail. And so the first thing is, Prabhupada said that the king could have a room in the palace, and we're going to fix it up. But the king wanted money. Because he thought this is a rich American. Because Indira Gandhi, in one swoop of the pen, dethroned the kings. I knew the kings, it was called the Concord of Princes. I hung out with the kings and the queens. And they had to lobby for things in Parliament, but then Indira Gandhi dethroned them and took away what they called the privy purses. The kings were getting a certain stipend, and suddenly she took away their wealth, and then they had to hide their wealth amongst their zamindars, their servants, because the government put a ceiling of how much they can own. So this was disastrous. So now the Maharaja Barpur was trying to get some money from us. That's just a historical backdrop of what's going on. So I'm writing back and forth, and the king sent a jewel in of gold and silver, and Achyutananda didn't accept it. If you don't accept a gift from someone that's a great, in many cultures, it's a great, almost sin. He should have accepted it and then maybe given it back. And the king was furious. And he had a life member card. He tried to tear it up, but it was laminated in plastic. So he cut it in 4 and sent it back. He was furious. So now Prabhupada said, Gurudas, you get along with, one time he said, Tamal Krishna, go tell those people to ask these people to do such and such because you're a good business person, but you don't get along with anybody. Gurudas, you get along with everybody, but you're not a good business person. I have to do it. Prabhupada said, I have. So, dealing with the Maharaj was like that, and Prabhupada said, go try to apologize with Achyutananda. Achyutananda has to apologize. So the king, the Maharaj had Rolls Royce, a big Rolls Royce car, and it had a big thing in the roof in case somebody was wearing a top hat. He got it from Europe. It had a bar in the back, alcohol. Another king, the Maharaj of Alwar, his father was a demon. He took children behind horses. He dragged them for pleasure. They kicked him out of India, the Maharaj of Alwar. He's in England. He goes in, but he didn't have his king clothes on, to a Rolls Royce dealer. The Rolls Royce dealer threw him out. He came back the next day in his king garb, and he bought a Rolls Royce, and then he took it back to Alwar. Now he's back in India, and he used the Rolls Royce to pick up garbage. And this was a worldwide thing, and the Rolls Royce people said, no, we'll give you 5 if you stop doing that. So you heard? Yeah. His son, though, was a saint. He was one of the good kings. It's in my book, So I rode in that Rolls Royce, but now we had just one of those old taxis with a Sadarji driving, Hayagriva, Achyutananda, and myself, and his secretary didn't like us. He looked like a villain. He had a mustache like that, and he didn't let us in, and he said, well, the Maharaj is in here. And as he was saying that, the Rolls Royce scooted out. And so we said, Sadarji, Jaldi Karo, follow that car. He left us in the dust. But Jamuna and I, we got along with him. We did apologize, but it was just breaking down, taking a lot of time. In the meantime, we got Krishna Balaram Temple, which is much more suitable. We can build our own temple to our specifications. It's not in the middle of the city. It didn't need to be fixed up. We could have a Goshala that had more room. But it was way out. It didn't even have municipal water pipe. It was so far out that the Bandars didn't come, the monkeys. So we went to this man, Mr. Sakar's house, we had the land to donate. But now Shama Devi from London wanted that land, so suddenly she's our enemy. And Prabhupada was like a ringmaster in the circus. At that, Samashinda was typing documents and Prabhupada was saying, you go in this room and you go in this room. There were two Goswamis that didn't talk to one another. There was a member of parliament that she had. And Prabhupada was orchestrating who would come where. And there was two pieces of paper, yes and no, and our Shiradakshai Vishnu picked the one that said yes, so we got the land. And now Shama Devi was really angry. She had a Goshala already, she had a stage. Why did she want more? But that's what happens. Sometimes in spiritual life you get titles, you get wealth, you get disciples, you want more. So then we had the land. Previously I lived in Prabhupada's rooms and in another room in Radha Damodar temple. I told that story of Gaurchand Goswami, right?
And the beauty.
So now there was three aspects of the Krishna Balarama temple, and the architects, the collectors of Lakshmi, and myself and Jamuna. And so we lived in adobe huts. There was no huts, rooms. Anand, Prabhupada's godbrother, was our cook, and everybody wanted Anand. He was not only a cook, but a great devotee. He would go and actually pick sag from the jungles, and I followed him, and he disappeared. He was up in a tree, and he was 80, late 70s, but he was like a young person. And then Prabhupada found sweet water with his cane, and we're building. The engineer got kickbacks from the cement company. I had to fire him. It took 6 years. I got typhoid fever from drinking the water in Makrana, buying marble. Prabhupada bandaged my foot personally. I helped start the temples in Calcutta and Bombay. It's a great history, and I really loved being in India because generally people have a service attitude, they have a spirituality. As I was saying, telling George Harrison, and what the airplane was going like that, I pulled out my Krishna, and then the person next to me pulled out Durga, and the person pulled out Shiv, and this person had Guru Nanak, and Sai Baba It was a cacophony of saints in the plane. Or in the plane, you could have people in the gumsha going to the water closet and then hearing people cleaning their tongues. At any rate, there's so many things I like about India, and that's why I love Krishna consciousness too, because of you all. I tried Zen Buddhism, Japanese style, but I really do like that Prabhupada gave me you, this family, with this style from India, for all the reasons. Kindness, prasadam, intelligence. Why are all the people hiring people from Hyderabad and IT from India? Because you're smart too. So we're all smart, we're all devotees. And even though I'm done so much and everything, that was then and then and that was now, is it now? And so we can continue our sastra and our sadhana and our seva. And one of my sevas is a charity for elderly devotees who are isolated, poor, forgotten, or harassed. And the first part is outreach to help people in your area, bring prasadam, bring them to the temple, buy bhog, whatever's needed, and it doesn't cost much, a little petrol, a car, and some compassion. And then I'm going to talk to Bhakta Marga about an assisted living place, someplace in Canada, and then hospice, and then Srila. And so you may think I'm great, but actually we're all similar on this path of das anudas. I may have some expertise, but so do you. And just to prove this, it won't be good for the camera, but now we are on the same level. So thank you very much. Thank you very much. This is Prabhupada's hat. This is his hat. And is there any questions or? Are there any questions? Anybody have any questions? Yes.
Thank you very much for coming and saying very nice words. I think you made a very good point, is that it is all great history, which is very important, is that it is very important to know the history, and because if you will not know the history, you will never know the struggle. And without that, you will never come to the stage of appreciation.
This, what you just said was something, the second thing you just said?
I mean, history is very important to understand the struggle, but if you will not understand the struggle, then you will never appreciate what you have got. So yeah. It's very important that.
Yes, because it personalizes it. This is our background, this is our heritage. And it's going on, it's parampara, it's Vaishnava history. These will be as glorious as Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, perhaps, in the future, carrying this on. Who knows, we're in the forest, but magic things are happening right now. The fact that there's a temple in Ottawa, Canada, That's kind of a miracle. I told you the miracle of Prabhupada with the water, right? In Mayapur, there was one building, and I was like a little child before Prabhupada. I was with him so much, but I went in the middle of the night outside his room and chanted loudly so he could hear me. And the first night he said, "Who is that? What is that?" "Oh, it's you, Gurudas." And it was in the middle of the night. So the next night I did it again, and he comes out and he goes to the edge of the veranda, one building only, Lotus Building, Mayapur. And he says, "The farmers, they're asking Krishna, give me water, give me water." And then he took his hand and he said, and Krishna says, "All right, take it." And when he went like that, the skies opened up and water came out immediately. And he didn't even say, "Look how great that was." He just walked back in the room. But that's a miracle. He said, "Okay, take it." And then the water came. And then in Vrindavan, there was salty water. And we brought scientists from Delhi to try and find sweet water, and they couldn't. But one morning walk, Prabhupada took his cane and said, "Dig here," and we dug there, and there was sweet water.
Till date.
And then we gave it to the neighbors who didn't have sweet water or the municipal pipe, and that was better than any PR in the world. Now suddenly we weren't the dancing white elephants anymore. We were actually inhabitants of Vrindavan helping one another. So that's another miracle that Prabhupada performed. Or butterflies on his finger. He went like that and the butterfly got on his finger. But the real miracle was, then he said, "Open the window so that butterfly can get something to eat." That's how he cured. Any more things to talk about, questions? Or?
A lot of nice things you have said in the last couple of days also. One is still I remember is that working together is very important so that the differences and all those things will go away and more love will come and unity will come, and that was a very strong point.
Good.
And
Because
it increases the tolerance level actually.
So yeah, I want to leave with that feeling, and you carry on as if I'm here, just like I did, as if Prabhupada's here. One thing you could do is maybe get an outreach team to do this care. There's some devotees already who might express interest. So you don't have to do preventative medicine when somebody's sick. You already have the people who are inclined to do that. That's one seva. There's lots of things. Yes?
Thank you very much, Prabhu. I at least never met you before, but this is my first interaction with you, and very grateful to you because of devotees like you that become the instrument to spread this Krishna consciousness and help Srila Prabhupada. Only my question is that in current time, generally what we talk that during the Sunday feast and such programs like that where many people come, on Sunday feast. So at that time, sometime generally they speak that we should minimize the philosophy on Sunday feast and we try to reduce some time period. But just like, devotees like you, when you met Srila Prabhupada,
Minimize the philosophy and
they can join Krishna consciousness. So my question to you, when you joined Krishna consciousness, what was most attractive to you, like philosophy or what Prabhupada was
That's a
doing?
really good question, and we have such great devotees in the Eastern European countries, Ukraine, Russia, and all those countries, and they're very fervent and sincere. And I asked them, why did you join Krishna consciousness? And I had three theories. One is the beauty of Krishna consciousness. They're in stark gray winters, and then there's saris and peacocks and prasadam and the aromas and Radha and Krishna and Lakshmi Narayan and Parvati Shiva and then the philosophy, and then the third was that they were just under these terrible totalitarian regimes, and that's why they joined. And that's partially true, but more people than not said the philosophy. I was surprised. I thought that the exoticness would be the reason. So, and we called them love feasts in the beginning, not Sunday feasts.
Sunday love feast.
Yes. So we did philosophy, Prabhupada did philosophy, but in a way people could understand. I think I told the story, but there's one person in London, he used to come, I'd be speaking or somebody would be speaking, and then it was time for prasadam, and he would come for prasadam only, he'd show up. So I was temple president, so I said, this week we're going to have prasadam first and then the talk. And he shows up and everybody said, that kheer was really good. And he's looking, but he couldn't escape, like an animal caught in the headlights of a car. And I said, well, you were just coming for prasadam, but I wanted you to hear our philosophy too. And then I did a really simple swoon. And I said, by the way, I have a big plate of prasadam saved for you. So you see, I taught him, but like Prabhupada, I also gave what he wanted. So, and sometimes the love feasts were impersonal. The devotees would take a day off and people would come in and not know what's going on. I said, greet people at the door, make sure their shoes were taken care of, etc., personalism. So I think it's a blend. I think that there should definitely be some philosophy because Prabhupada's books, I think, more than anything, has attracted devotees of all the things. You know, and it's important in our tradition because that's the Shastra aspect which gives us our foundation. So definitely, the love feast should be tailored to the people, and you should use your intelligence on how Krishna's all attractive. So use whatever attraction you can to attract people. Why? Because you want to share something you love, because you think it'll make the world a better place. So that's a pretty nice idea. Okay, anything else? Well, thank you so much for having me at your house. Oh, yes.
When did you meet Prabhupada last time?
Sorry?
When did you meet him last time?
When?
Prabhupada.
When did you
When
meet
was your
Prabhupada the
last-
last time?
And what were the last instructions he was giving to his disciples?
What was the second part of the question?
What are the last instructions Prabhupada gave to his disciples?
Cooperate with one another, that will make me happy. That was the last instruction.
Can you repeat?
Cooperate with one another, that will make me.
Cooperate.
That's what. I saw him before he sent me to Lebanon. I started a food program in Lebanon, in the war zone. So I didn't go to Vrindavan when he was leaving the planet. There were so many people there, it was crowded. And he always wanted me to continue preaching whilst I was in the middle of it, as before. So then I didn't see him again. There's enough tapasya in the world without putting any more on yourself unnecessarily. Things like that, wisdom, practical. And there's a proverb, tie up your horse, worship God, but tie up your horse first. Actually, it's Arabian. Worship Allah, but tie up your camel first, which means be practical as well. So yeah, that's a really good question. What's the last, work together. If you cooperate together, it will make me happy. Well, we're doing it better than a lot of communities, Yes?
Thank you for your wonderful class. You said we are a servant of servant, right?
Sorry?
Come closer.
You said we are servant of servant. We are servant of servant, right?
Surrender?
Servant of servants.
Dasanu.
Dasanudas.
खान के बगल में
You said we are Dasanudas, right?
Dasanudas,
But
yes.
it's very difficult to realize this thing. We are not able to see, God in everyone's heart. So how to eliminate this problem?
Because some people are acting not so good, right? Yeah, well, sometimes I was depressed about the way some of the devotees were acting, even back then. And Prabhupada wrote me a letter that even my godbrothers always didn't accept me, but persevere anyway. But it starts with you. Become strong yourself inside, and then it won't matter. Because if you can just find people who you get along with better, and the ones you don't get along with don't. Because if you're strong, as Prabhupada said, the elephant caravan passes and the dogs will bark. So the ego body is offended, but the spirit soul body transcends it. You're inside like a tortoise, pulling the senses inside the shell, and that's their karma. So you try to avoid and forgive and just go on yourself. Because there's always challenges. Even Prabhupada had a heart attack, and he said because we're making progress, Maya attacks. So Maya and people will attack, but Krishna will help you too. When there was challenges or I was going out the door, Prabhupada would say, Krishna will help you. And he did. So Krishna will help you too.